The Cat Returns, released in 2002 by Studio Ghibli. It has a pretty interesting backstory. It started off as a commission from a Japanese theme park to make a 20-minute animation with cats. But then the powers at Ghibli really liked the storyboards that the director Hiroyuki Morita prepared, and they said, you know what, let's just make it a feature film. And so they did, and we ended up with this wonderful little adventure fairy tale for younger audiences. The central character is called Haru, and she's a high school student, kind of shy, kind of insecure, unsure of her place in the world. One day, while walking home from school, she saves a cat from being run over by a truck. Surprisingly, the cat speaks like a normal human being and thanks her for the rescue, and he says that he'll repay the debt. That night, a whole procession of speaking cats arrive at Haru's house to inform her that the one she saved was in fact the prince of the cat kingdom. And so now the king has ordered that everyone do everything in their power to make Haru's life more enjoyable. But because they are cats and she's a human being, there is a rather substantial misunderstanding as to what's good for her and what isn't. And that means a fair bit of trouble for Haru, and eventually she has to find her way to the cat kingdom herself to try and fix things. So it's not a very long film, just under 80 minutes, and its story and plot structure are also pretty simple and straightforward. We move from one point to another. There's not really much room to breathe. It's a nicely paced adventure. I think that makes the movie very digestible for younger audiences, while it still remains obviously entertaining for adults. In terms of the feel of the film, the atmosphere, it made me think a little bit of Spirited Away and of Kiki's Delivery Service, two other Ghibli movies, where there's that strong, magical, fairy tale-ish vibe throughout. But because it's so Japanese and foreign, it manages to be new and weird to the Western audiences. Some of the tropes that you would expect to be there aren't. And on the other hand, there are elements which to us would seem almost crazy, but they do work. The animation style fits that whimsical story. The pacing, as I already mentioned, is quite brisk and fast. The humor is simple but lands. There's not much more to be said, really. The Cat Returns is a pretty solid little film, mainly for kids.